in that trip to happen?
Well, just good times, good peaceful times to grow stronger, more dialed in with one's mind and one's body to become a better human. Not only a better slackliner, but a better human.
My name's Pierre Carrillo. I'm 22 and I've been slacklining for 2 years. I got into highlining January of last year. I got into slacklining for highlining. That's what I wanted to do from the beginning.
Pierre really inspires me a lot. He is an amazing slackliner.
It's cool how he always motivates you to push yourself harder, to stay strong. And he showed me slackline, so I wouldn't be here where I am today if it wasn't for him. My name is Eric Rasmussen. I've been slacklining for a year and a half now. I'm 21 years old and I live in Salinas, California.
Eric's a good guy. I like Eric a lot. I've seen him grow as a slackliner from the very beginning, and it's incredible to see people grow so quickly and become so passionate about something.
It wasn't until like maybe 6-7 months that I'd been slacklining when Eric really started taking an interest into it. And now he's probably has more highliner rigging experience than I do.
My name is Jerry Machewski, and I'm 22 years old, and I've been slacklining for about 2 years now. Slacklining for me is pretty much my life. Whenever I'm on the line, it's like a comfortable thing. It's a moving meditation.
To me, Jerry seems like he does yoga, but he doesn't. He just long lines. He's real calm and always positive. He's always thinking outside the box.
Jerry's awesome, man. I'm really stoked to have Jerry as a friend. When I'm exhausted and tired and not feeling like walking, Jerry's out there walking.
My name is Julian DeForge. I'm 22 years old and I've been slacklining for 3 years. The first day I met Pierre, he talked to me about that trip that he was gonna do in California.
I didn't know him at all, and I don't really invite people that I don't know. I'm kind of shy. But right away when I had met him, I always felt comfortable. I invited him on my trip right away. We slacklined together for a while. We started hanging out more, and find out one night that we're born on the same day, same year. It's like, what are the chances?
The day we realized that, it was pretty weird, you know. From that moment, I kind of knew that there was something going on there, and that something had to happen, and there it is. It's happening right now.
Yosemite is great for highlining just because the amount of rocks everywhere. It's like, it's all granite rock in there and really strong stuff.
So beautiful, so green, always so green, and it's an amazing place. It brings back memories for me. I've been going there since I was a little kid. It's really special to be able to go highline there.
First thing we did there is hike the Falls Trail.
The Falls Trail, it's a fun trail. It's beautiful, man, but it's tough. It's like, I don't know, 3.7 miles, but just climbing up 3,000 feet.
All 5 of us had heavy packs. Pierre had an 84-pound pack, and mine was 78 pounds or something like that. It took us 4 hours to get up there.
It was nice though. I mean, it was a challenge, and when you get to the top of the mountain, you're so happy to be there.
When I took my pack off at the top, it was the best feeling I've ever had, man.
So we got there, and the falls line was already rigged by Andy Lewis. I never seen a highline before, and I get to the falls line, and it is so big. It is so long, so high, so exposed.
All of us were too tired except for Pierre to try Andy's line.
Andy's like, you gotta walk, man, you gotta walk. And I was like, oh man, I couldn't turn it down, you know, the line is there. So excited, I completely forgot how tired I was. And I stood up about 6 times and felt good, but I just didn't have what it took to fight for it. But after those couple of attempts, I definitely knew that I had to wake up and do something serious the next day.
So if your rope gets wet, it's cool, right?
Static rope, it's fine.
We decided we'd rig the biggest line of our trip first, and we rigged falls the next day after Andy took it down. The whole process of rigging that line was just something I'd never experienced before. Jerry did the scariest part for sure.
I had to rappel down to the nose and place the anchor on that side, the static anchor. And on the side of the nose is a sheer cliff, and all I was on was a single piece of rope.
I had to rappel down on an angle and meet Jerry halfway to get the lines, and I was like trying to yell to Jerry, man, if I fall here, I'm gonna swing out. I'm rappelling at a huge angle here. And then I got the ropes from Jerry and then rappelled all the way down to the falls. And Eric was waiting on the other side.
I was just sitting there watching the guys. They were working so hard. It took like 5 hours. You always ask yourself, why are we like doing this? Why are we putting that much energy into doing something like that? Well, then when you walk, you just understand all of that.
Once we got the line rigged, we were all pretty scared of it, actually. Nobody was too enthusiastic about being the first one on it. I was tired from rigging, and I kind of just wanted to take a break. Didn't really feel like walking. And the falls is the biggest line I've ever attempted, really. So I went back to camp, and it was nice to have a midline, something to walk with a leash. And I seshed that line good. I actually had a good session. I was jumping and surfing as hard as I could. And I went back out to the falls, and still nobody had given it an attempt. And I was like, I'm gonna go. It was a scary walk, man. That was definitely the hardest walk I've done yet. The way I walk, I look at the tapes, and so I'm looking at the valley floor the whole time on that line. It's a good exposure. One of the most beautiful lines I think that has been walked so far. Definitely the most beautiful line I've ever walked.
I'm not really sure why that line is so epic. There's something about it. There's something about the millions of gallons of water flowing beneath you that are falling 2,000 feet, and you're walking to nothing, just a point, and not being able to get off the line when you finish. That's kind of a scary thing. And it's long and really exposed, loud. When I looked at it, I was just shocked. I couldn't think straight. I actually didn't even think I was going to be able to send it. On a high line, when you sent, it means you walked all the way across without falling. And on-site send is when someone does it the first time they've ever seen that high line. Then a full man is sending both ways. The reason I wanted to go on this trip was to walk the falls line and ascent it, and it's like mission accomplished. I can die now.
On a high line, every time I try it for the first time, I get that same feeling. It's maybe a little bit of nervousness, a little bit of fear, and a little bit of what am I going to put myself through right now, and why am I doing this? It's not till I stand up where all that goes away. But I had never dealt with this kind of exposure in my life. I'm not a climber, so it just really messed with my head. The line felt great, to be honest. It was a great rig, but it was just the exposure and the people. Very touristy line. A lot of people see it. I gave it a couple shots. I got pretty far on it. I didn't get the send though. I need to take revenge. I need to go back, and we got to rig that line again. And I got to get the send. Jerry has to get the full man, and Pierre has to get the full man.
Those guys from Gibbon were there on the top of that mountain. It was nice to have other highliners, other slackliners in the group. And they had a little midline for me to practice. It was awesome because I had never walked with a leash before. I mean, having a harness and a leash is a different thing. It's new, and just walking a high line is so different than a regular slackline.
It's a different game. It requires a lot more upper body strength, and you're catching yourself, you're pulling yourself up, you're doing mantles, you're working out there. It's a physical game. If you've never highlined before and you go out for the first time, you're gonna get your ass kicked. You're gonna have bruises on your legs, you're gonna have cuts on your hands, you're gonna feel the highline.
Somehow having that, like having grass 3 feet beneath you in a park, it just changes everything. It makes it look like a world of difference. Your brain tricks you into thinking that something else is going on, and you just have to think the whole time, this is a slackline, this is a slackline, it's just a slackline.
Well, highline is actually just a slackline, but I think the difference is mental. Your body or your mind just tells you that you're gonna kill yourself, which you don't. But I think your mind just wants you to protect you from getting hurt.
The highlines are so frightening because you're walking to nothing and just looking down, man. It really trips with your head. It really messes with your head, man. It really does.
You get into these high lines and you stand up and you're scared, man. You're looking down at the valley floor and you just gotta tell yourself, I've walked lines double this length close to the ground. I can walk this slack line. There's nothing different. It teaches you that your mind is an incredibly strong thing. You can do whatever you want to do. You can do whatever you want to do.
I'll set the anchors off of these, and
The next day, the guys rigged the Lost Arrow Spire.
Last year the line was rigged when I got there. This year it was up to me and Jerry to get it up. We found someone finally to climb the spire for us. They pulled the rope up for us and we set up some nuts in the spire and made a nice little Tyrolean, and they got off and it was just me and Jerry out there rigging the line.
The spire is special because it's what started the whole thing, and it's like one of the first things I knew about slacklining was the Lost Arrow Spire Highline. I watched the video on YouTube and been inspired since then to walk it.
just after highlining the falls and walking the midline, the Lost Arrow Spire is cake. It's just you kind of stand up on the line and expect there to be a challenge, but you reach the side within a few steps. You reach the spire. It's in the area where slackline was invented, and so many people have walked it. It's just really made it a classic.
I almost shed a tear when I got to the spire. It was just an incredible feeling, even though it took little effort to cross it. It was just fantastic. One of the most rewarding lines for sure.
Bon, je vais essayer Lost Arrow Spire. C'est environ 3000 pieds d'auteur. Ça fait peur, mais j'ai une bonne idée. Je vais mettre un casque, donc je pense qu'il ne peut rien m'arriver, donc je suis très confiant. Je suis très excité face à cette situation, un peu anxieux. J'ai hâte d'être sur le flake qu'on appelle. Hier ou avant-hier, en fait, j'ai essayé à 20 pieds dans les arbres. J'ai pas été capable de traverser, en fait. Fait que j'ai pas des attentes énormément élevées, mais je pense que je viens ici juste pour vaincre ma peur des hauteurs puis me pratiquer. Donc c'est ça. quand on est arrivé à Yosemite, puis les gars m'ont montré l'espèce de montagne qu'on était supposé d'escalader, puis l'endroit où on devait installer la slackline. Je me suis dit, ouais, je pense qu'en fin de semaine, ben en fait, je pense que cette semaine, je vais être seulement caméraman, puis que je vais pas essayer de le faire. Mais hier, je me suis dit, bon, tout est là, je vais pas revenir bientôt. Puis j'ai décidé qu'il fallait que je l'essaye au moins. Juste le fait d'essayer de me lever debout, tu perds tous tes repères, puis tout est recommencé à zéro. C'est comme réapprendre à marcher une fois de plus. Je peux dire que dans slackline, comme dans n'importe quel autre sport ou n'importe quoi dans la vie, ça prend de la pratique pour atteindre l'excellence. Puis je pense que j'étais pas prêt mentalement, parce que ça prend aussi de la pratique mentale. Il faut y aller graduellement aussi. J'avais réussi le 20 pieds à me tenir debout, mais j'avais pas réussi à marcher. Puis là, on parle de 3000 pieds. J'ai quand même eu le rush d'adrénaline, fait que je pense que c'est ça que le monde recherche ici. Fait que je peux dire que c'est moitié mission accomplie, puis ça me donne le goût de revenir. J'ai encore d'autres objectifs à atteindre. Puis tout ce que ça me dit aussi, c'est de continuer à pratiquer si je veux réussir.
It was my first Highline. I went there with Jerry, and I had to rappel down to that flake. I think it's like 60, 80 feet or something, I don't know.
To get to the starting point of that line, it's one of the more scary ones, because most lines that we've done, you can just either step over the railing or just walk right up to the anchor and get out. But for the spire, you gotta rappel down, and you're exposed 3,000 feet below you. It's pretty scary. And you're just sitting there on the flake, shaking, you know, because you're about to walk a high line.
When you're sitting on the flake and you're looking at the line and you have that big, huge spire, you have on your left side the valley floor and the mountains, and there's the fall that you can barely see. Everything seems just so big and you feel so little.
He goes out on the spire in his first try and sends right away.
It's really inspiring to see him unsight the spire.
I was surprised myself that I unsighted that line. Sitting on the spire then was so nice.
After stepping off, it all hits you. The rush of adrenaline, the sense of accomplishment, it all hits you at once, and it's a really euphoric high.
after walking, after getting off a Highline, everything's clear. Just life makes sense. It's just complete happiness.
Later that day, he goes out, he turns to the valley, just kind of turns his body and looks straight down, and I'm like, damn dude, like, I've been highlining for, you know, longer than you have, and I haven't looked down on the valley, on the spire yet.
Comes out, walks it, and walks to the middle and looks out. I still don't do that, like, that's incredible. Once we were done with the short spire line, I was the only one that really wanted to do the spire long line. I'm pretty sure no one else wanted to walk the long spire line because everyone was just exhausted from being exposed for so long that looking down 3,000 feet into a valley starts to get to your head after a while. And
So we were exhausted. We had the spire up for like 3 days, I think. We were just getting eaten by the exposure. Kind of was tired and I wanted to get down to the valley, go jump in the water.
Jerry, though, he wanted to walk that long line.
One of the biggest goals for me was to walk the long spire, and I was not going to let it pass by while we were up there.
Jerry's the man for rigging the long spire line by himself, walking it one time, and then de-rigging it. We didn't even go down, we didn't touch the line, we didn't attempt the line. I think we had just dealt with the exposure for too long. We were all pretty tired, we needed something new.
Yeah, I rigged it, walked it once, took it down. That's it. When I was walking that line, it was so incredible. It beats the hell out of the normal spire line. It's just like you're walking to the spire still, but it's way longer and it's way more exposed. It's just a beautiful thing, man. I felt great out there. Taft Point. What a great highline, man. The approach there, only 1.1 miles. Just a flat, slightly downhill trail. Walk around anchors. It's the best highline, dude.
Nope, something's wrong. Is it?
When we did Taft Point, we were at the end of our trip in Yosemite and we just had a beautiful time. We were all really stoked. Close to the end of our trip in Yosemite, but just the beginning of our highlining trip.
Taft Point was just a refreshing point of our trip.
When we first got to Taft Point, it was extremely windy. We rigged in the wind. The lines were like flapping together. It was a scary thing.
When the line was rigged, it was just windy as hell, so windy. It was blowing. We were all waiting for the wind to die.
None of us really wanted to walk. Pierre and Eric both went to sleep. And then Julian went out and just gave it his all, man. Made it halfway in full wind. And when I saw him do that, I'm like, I need to get out there and try this line because this is incredible.
I was tired, so I went to sleep there on the rock. And I was woken up by some screaming. And apparently Julian had tried sending the line, got Jerry pumped up. And Jerry put on the leash and on site, full man.
Pierre woke up during my first walk there, and he got a little bit of inspiration.
It's like, oh, it's my turn, man. I wipe the sleep from my eyes and go put on the harness, stretch a little bit. I on-site full manned it, and they're like, all right, Eric, it's you, man.
And Eric's turn was up, and he clips in, full man on-site.
Oh, that was the best moment. We had just, we had done some real big lines, and got to this one, and it welcomed us with opening arms.
Yeah! Then Julian comes up. He full mans it on his first try too. I was pumped, man. Like seeing every one of us walk it on site. Just, it's such a moving experience. Like all your friends just doing what they love and doing it well. That was probably our peak energy point during the trip. We were all super stoked, and then we all just seshed it right after that too.
Next day, I just kind of had breakfast, good coffee, stretched for like an hour or something right next to the line, and we all got like morning sands and morning sessions.
I woke up early the next morning, ate oatmeal and went to the line. Nobody there, no wind. Perfect conditions. I had a good session walking the line, surfing it, got to jump on it a little bit. Definitely was the best session I had in Yosemite. And then we took the line down and drove back home.
I love life.
Seco is desert. Arroyo Seco is so hot.
The first day we got there, it's like 110 degrees. Well, when you're there, that's what you want though, because you have slacklines over water. And slacklines over water when it's cold is not fun. So we couldn't have asked for better weather when we were there.
There was not a cloud for 7 days, and there is no shade there during the day. Every hour you need to just jump in the water, refresh yourself, and then cook back in the sun. You get dry in 5 minutes.
Has been my favorite spot, one of my favorite spots since I began slacklining. Thanks to Pierre for starting the pioneering of lines there.
It was really fun. I mean, we would walk in the mornings, walk in the evenings, and then just cook all day in the sun.
The best part about our camping spot is we had slacklines to go everywhere you needed to when you woke up. That's one of the cool features of Seco.
We had 4 lines up, the high line, the mid line, and the 2 shorter water lines.
And it was really nice to wake up and have all these beautiful lines to walk.
Midline is sweet, man. It's one of my favorite lines, one of my favorite slack lines. It's just like, it's like 18, 20 feet high. A good little fall if you were to fall off of it. Definitely a nice little drop that'll scare you, and an uncomfortable splat to the water.
It was scary actually, because it really doesn't look that high, but it is actually pretty high.
We have 4 lines in Seco. They're really fun, man. The original line I made there was the high line. It's 114 feet long and 80 feet high.
The high line at Seco is pretty scary. It's not that high, but I think at some point height is not really that important. It's really the length of the line that makes a big difference.
Yeah, last year Seco kicked my butt, and this year it was really good to get back on it and just see how much I'd grown since last year, because I didn't kick my butt this year. On my last walk there, I stood in the middle of the line and looking straight down. I stood there till my legs burned.
The high line at Seco was one that beat me before, because I saw it for 1 hour and it was my first high line, and so I didn't really get anywhere on it. This year, however, we rebolted, replaced the high line, and tore it up. We took revenge.
I remember about a year ago going there for the first time and just being absolutely terrified. I put 1 foot on the line and it started shaking like when you first start slacklining, and I was like, no way, I'm not getting on this. And I just walked away from it, didn't even try. And this year I full man on site and sesh the fuck out of it.
That high, it's crazy. We did lines way higher than this, thousands of feet higher than this, that are not nearly as scary. The first couple of days I didn't even walk the high line. I was just staring at it, completely terrified of it. But then I got comfortable, and it took me a couple of days, and now I've had like 3-4 days of walking the line. It's awesome to spend a lot of time at a place where there's 4 lines and they're up all the time, and you're there for 6 days. so you could get super comfortable on all the lines. I'm still terrified, man. When I get to the edge of my high line every time, it's scary. But getting over it, being able to perform in the moment, be able to blur everything out and go, has showed me that I can do that with any aspect of my life. You get in the zone, you focus, you manifest what you want, and you do it.
Riot's Ruins was the first line we did in the Bay Area, San Francisco. The approach is really easy actually. It's just going down a few bushes and you're there.
The view's amazing. You look at the Golden Gate Bridge, you can see big ships going under it, helicopters flying through it.
The line itself is so long and one anchor is pretty scary.
This was the first time I ever really wrapped big rocks with span sets for a high line, and this was a huge high line. I didn't feel too good about one of the sides. It looks like the sling is just gonna roll off the rock and it's a little freaky, but it ended up being super solid.
I was the first one to try it. When I got on it, it was just so hard, man. So hard. And I got up and I give my first couple of shots I'd given it and I looked up at Jerry and Jerry's looked at me and I could see Jerry was scared of the line. She was like, oh, this is a serious line, you know?
Second day, Pierre and I tried it, and I made it about halfway. Pierre made it about a third, and it was just, it tore me apart, man. That line is way more than I thought I was going to be.
Got my ass kicked the first day. Got my ass kicked the second day. I went out and I made sure to give it all I had. I knew that I couldn't justify leaving there and thinking, oh, I only gave it like 3 shots, you know. No, I tried maybe 30 times. I fell maybe 30 times and just kept on going, and I finally was just getting exhausted. I was falling on the same part of my leg. I was getting a huge bruise on the back of my leg. We definitely didn't want to take the line down because none of us had sent. We definitely had to come out another day to give it another shot.
We were there the second day. None of us had sent yet. We were sitting there. I had just gotten up. I went up to the line to leash in, and I hear from a loudspeaker, "Do not stand on your line. Do not touch your line." I didn't know what was going on. I looked up, and here's a bunch of Rangers standing up there looking at me.
They sent 4 people down, and they told us to de-rig without going on the high line, which made it absolutely dangerous. So dangerous. We had to de-rig the weirdest way I've ever de-rigged a line.
They didn't listen at all. We're trying to explain to them, hey, we know what we're doing. We're safe. We have a method. We have a safe method. Your method is just thought up on the spot. Ours is years and years of people studying and rigging and practicing and finding the right way to do it, and now we have a developed way, and it's safe. No one's ever died doing it. We don't want to die. We love our lives.
Exactly. I won't want it.
Unfortunately.
And I had to come up with a way to tension the back up without the pulley system, and that was extremely dangerous. I had to build a rope pulley system that 2 guys had to hold on to.
Me and Eric were holding on the rope all the tension from a 180-foot line, and if anything goes wrong, I mean, we're just being pulled off the cliff basically.
Go way out there when I detension.
And then Pierre had to lift the sling off the rock and throw it so dangerous.
Because there's a lot of weight still on that line, and it could have just pulled Pierre right off the anchor. And this was a really big drop. It was very dangerous what they made us do. And then they hike us back up. I'm not paying attention, and then I look up, and I'm shocked. There's 6 Ranger cars just parked there, 6 SUVs, and there's like a crowd of people, and I didn't know we were causing this much trouble in the world.
Gave us all $75 tickets for going off the trail, which we were clearly on a trail the whole time. We took pictures of the trail because we're going to fight the tickets. One of the reasons he said that he was giving us the ticket was because they brought 6 cops out there.
He could have sent one person to tell us to take our line down and we would have done it. And he's like, oh, that's not your call, that's not your call.
We had a great trip up until then, and that's the only day that it rained. I guess there needed to be some sort of balance.
The whole trip was really a life experience. I believe I've grown a lot as a highliner. Highlining has improved my life by making me more calm. It's taught me to love where I'm at, to love what I'm doing. It's shown me how to really use my breathing to just help me and heal me and live my life. Just keep breathing.
I think I grew as a human on that trip because I learned how to walk through my fears and how to stand up and stay straight and relax no matter what happens. You realize that there's so many dangerous things in life that if you start being afraid of all of them, you're not gonna enjoy life.
You'll have fears, and that's fine. It's okay to be scared of something. Fear keeps you alive. You know, you gotta keep things in perspective. You gotta respect things. I'm still afraid, but I'm no longer paralyzed by my fear. And Highline has definitely helped me with that.
Highlining has improved my life infinitesimally. Before I started slacklining, I was a hardcore computer gamer. And now I'm outside doing stuff. I'm very active, much more relaxed. I can deal with things much more calmly now, and I contribute all that to Highline. It's brought me peace, inner peace, outer peace, everything peace.
it.
Yeah, shoot.
Scary, dude. Fuck yeah, that's scary.
That's it, man.
Yeah.